Synopsis of the Books of the Bible. Psalms. By J. N. Darby. All Scripture is given by inspiration of God, and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness, that the man of God may be perfect, thoroughly furnished unto all good works. 2 Timothy 3 verses 16 and 17. Synopsis of the Books of the Bible. By John Nelson Darby. Psalms 91. Messiah with Israel in the place of trust, the channel for blessing on earth. We have now, Psalm 91, another most important principle introduced, Messiah's taking his place with Israel, the place of trust in Jehovah, so as to afford the channel for the full blessing of the people. Three names of Elohim, God, come before us in this psalm, one that by which he was in relationship with Abraham, the Almighty, another which Abraham through the testimony of Melchizedek may have known prophetically, the millennial title of Elohim when he takes his full title over the earth. Compare Genesis 14 verses 18 to 20, the Most High. Both, as all the names of God, have their proper meaning, one complete power, the other absolute supremacy. The question then rises, who is the God who has this place? Who is this supreme God over all to the earth? Who shall find his secret place to dwell in? He who has found this shall be completely protected by almighty power. Messiah, Jesus, says I will take the God of Israel as that place, Jehovah. In verses 3 to 8 we have the answer. Doubtless, it is true of every godly Israelite, and they are in view, but led by the Spirit of Jesus, the one perfect faithful one who took this place indeed. In verse 9 I apprehend Israel speaks, that is, the Spirit personifying Israel addressing Messiah, because thou hast taken Jehovah, which is my refuge, as thy habitation, almighty power shall guard thee. This continues to verse 13. In verse 14 Jehovah himself speaks of him as the one who has set his love upon him. The form of the psalm is striking. The Spirit of God proposes the problem. He who finds the secret place of the supreme God, of the millennium, will have all the full blessing of Abraham's God, the Almighty. Messiah says I take Jehovah the God of Israel. Then the answer, so it was and he, verses 3 to 8, would enjoy the fruit of it. In verse 9 Israel speaks and declares by the Spirit he would have the blessings. In verse 14 Jehovah sets his seal on all this, and the solver of the great trial of God will find the full blessing of Jehovah, on whom he had set his love, whose name he had known, even Jehovah the God of Israel. It is a very interesting psalm in this way. But we have to remark that all is viewed on earth, the character of God in all respects. How Christ, as a present thing, relinquished the title to deliverance flowing from this, to perfect obedience, trusting his Father absolutely, belongs to deeper views of the purposes of God and of the paths of the Blessed One himself. Satan would have just used this to take him out of the path of obedience, and into that of distrust and his own will, blessed be God, in vain, as we know. The sure mercies of David were to be in an obedient and risen one. This point is treated in a psalm of unexampled beauty farther on, and thus deeper blessings and higher glories brought out. But he who went in that perfect path of submission has not the less made good all the fruit of all that is here, for those who shall walk after him in the place of this trust in Jehovah upon earth. This principle we see indeed, in various forms, all through the Psalms. Indeed the atonement of Christ was needed, which implied his resigning personally this blessing, in order that others might walk in that path in which he could personally walk, of course, without it. Psalm 21 gives a divine revelation as to the way in which the promise of life was fulfilled to the Lord,